Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited that it is webinar morning because here we are, Thursday, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and I don't know what AM time it is where you're at or even PM time, but I'm glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So as we get started this morning, I want to know, can you tell me in the chat that you can hear me and that you can see me? Can you hear and see me? Because I want to make sure that we are all in the same place at the same time. So give me a thumbs up or tell me yes in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So my name is Ann Washburn, and you know, I get to choose topics that I teach on these webinars. And as I was thinking about what topic I wanted to share this morning, the word achieve kept coming through my mind. Oh, yes, I see lots of yes and thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. All right, I'm so glad that we are in the same place at the same time. Excellent. And so this word achieve, what an interesting word that is, because I actually looked it up, and the definition of achieve is achievement is a thing done successfully. A thing done successfully, typically by effort, courage, and skill. I liked those words, effort, courage, and skill. So today, what we want to uncover, we want to discover is how we can have more achievement in our life. Because if you are somebody who would like to have more achievement in your life, give me a yes in the comments. Say, oh yeah, or yeah, give me an oh yeah in the comments. Oh yeah, I want more achievement in my life. And then after you answer that, so let's first see, do you want more achievement? Because if you don't want more achievement, then I will change what I teach today. But if you do want more achievement, then I know exactly what to talk about today. I know exactly what to talk about. Oh, there's a whole bunch of oh yeahs. Oh yeah, oh yeah, love it, love it, love it. Well, if you want more achievement, then we're going to have to get clear on two things in our life. And those two things, let me share my screen here with you. Those two things that we need to get clear on are this. They are where we're at in our life and where we want to be. Okay? So point A and point B. We need to be clear on both of those, because until we're clear on those, we can't move from one to the other. We have to get clear on what point A is and what point B is so that we can move from one point to the other. So we're gonna talk about that this morning, and then we're going to talk about what blocks us. What are the kinds of things that try to stop us from getting from point A to point B? We're going to talk about both of those, because so those of you who don't know me, like I said, my name is Ann Washburn, and for the last almost 11 years, in November it will be 11 years, I have been on a mission and a journey to help people access more of their amazingness. Because as a body language expert, one of the things that I can see in people is where they block themselves, where they're stopping themselves, where they self-sabotage. Yeah, hear that word? Where they self-sabotage. In other words, where they sabotage themselves. And not only that, where they deceive themselves. I can see those things in people's body language. And so because I can see those, I couldn't stand by and not give people ways that they could see that better and get out of it. Because if you care about people and you see somebody trapped, don't you want to help them? Don't you want to help them? Like yesterday, my son and I had to run down. He's looking for a job, and so he needed to go turn in a job application. And on the way back, on the side of the road, we passed, it looked like a mom with a couple of little kids in the car. And she was on the side of the road, and I could see that her car was on its jack. So she was changing her tire. And it's super hot in Utah. So it was like 100 degrees at that time of day when we would pass her. And when I came up on the car, I couldn't see that there was anybody in it until I was past the car. Then I could see the people in it. And my son and I look at each other and we're like, wow, it's really hot outside. I wonder if she needs help. And I'm like, yeah, me too. So where we were at, it required, the next exit was a minute or so up the road. So we went to the next exit and we came back around because we wanted to see how we could help. When you see someone in distress and you care, then you want to help. And this is why I do what I do. Because I can see that in people's body language. I can see the distress and I want to offer help. It doesn't mean that people will always receive it. It doesn't mean that people always want it. But I want to be a lighthouse that will be somebody who shines an option for people to take a different path. Because think about that. If the majority of our problems are self-imposed, self-sabotage, self-deceit, self-distress. I mean, and I'm not saying that all the problems are, but if the majority of them are, then I want to give people options on how to do something different. So I have a question for you. How many of you cause some of your own problems? How many of you? Admit it for me in the chat. Say, yep, I do. I do that. Yeah, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means that we don't see a different path. And so you are super smart to be here this morning. Okay, let's just wait for a second and see. Do you do it? Say, I do if you do. Yep, I do. Me, for sure. Usually I do. Yep, look at all of those. Okay, so if you know, or maybe you don't even know that you cause some of your own problems, you are super smart to wake up early and be here this morning, because I'm going to help you uncover some of why you deceive yourself, why you sabotage yourself, and what you can do about it, and ways that you can recognize that you're doing it. Oh, do you need that? Yeah, raise your hand for me if you need that. I can't really see you, but in my mind, I can see you. So raise your hand for me. If you're somebody that you don't even see sometimes that you do it, you need to be able to notice. You need to be able to know what the indicators are that you're sabotaging yourself. Would that be valuable, to be able to know what the indicators are that you're sabotaging yourself? Oh, that would be so good. Because when you registered for this webinar, I had a survey that you guys answered. And the survey was, I could achieve more in my life if I could get past and then click all that apply. And the options were negative self-talk or criticism, negative emotions, lack of action and procrastination, past evidence, and self-sabotage. Now, really, all of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of those 5 options, all are a component of sabotaging ourselves. They really are. And so in this survey, though, what I found fascinating is the top 2 answers were both self-sabotage answers. So the top 2 were self-sabotage and procrastination, lack of action. Those were the top 2 answers in the survey. Do you guys like those surveys? I think they're really valuable and an eye-opener when we get to answer them and hear what the results are of them. I think they're pretty cool. So if you like the surveys, let me know, because I've been doing those for about 3 webinars now, and I think they're really cool. And so I have to start with a couple of stories this morning. So one is I need to tell you about Anne, me. I need to tell you about me. So Anne Washburn, she was born in Utah, and then immediately after, her parents moved to Rexburg, Idaho. So I grew up in Rexburg, Idaho, and I'm the oldest child of 2 youngest children. So both of my parents were youngest children, and they did not grow up in your typical home. I don't know what the typical home is, but theirs wasn't it. My dad grew up in foster care and in living at places like Boys Ranch. And my mother was 20 years younger than her nearest sibling. Well, 18 years younger than her nearest sibling. And she grew up in an interesting environment. So neither one of my parents had been taught how to be a parent. So here was Anne growing up as the oldest guinea pig in the family. And along the way, she gathered, as she was growing up, she gathered programming, because here were these 2 inexperienced people parenting her. And so I got programs along the way. It was like, oh, there's a program, and I put it nicely into my subconscious. And here was another program, and I put it very carefully into my heart. And not all of those programs were good for me. So as I got older and I went to school, I found myself really worried about what the other kids thought of me. And I would do things at school to try to check in and see, do the kids like me? So I would act out, or I would do some dumb things because I was trying to see if the other kids liked me. And by about the age of 5th grade, I was pretty sure they didn't like me. I was pretty sure. And so I remember one time I got to school. So I'm an adult. So now when I think back to school, I walked to school uphill both ways, and it was very cold, 20 below zero. You know how the stories change over time. But really, I grew up in Rexburg, Idaho. It's super cold there when I was growing up. And so when I would walk about a mile to school. And when I would walk well, maybe it wasn't quite a mile. Almost though. And in order to walk to school, I would put on snow pants and snow boots and a snow coat and a hat and gloves, because it was super cold. So I was just this walking marshmallow monster walking to school, and it would take a while. And this one day I got to school really late. And I went to school in a super old school, and all the stairs creaked as you walked up them. And so I'm late for school, and I'm in my marshmallow outfit, and I'm walking up all the creaky stairs, and I have to go into the classroom, and I'm super anxious about going into the class when it's already started. And I walk into the class, and sure enough, the teacher's like, "Anne, you're late. Hurry and get your snow clothes off." And I'm like, oh, everybody just looked at me. And so we had this, the closet where you put your clothes was like a huge long corridor separate from the classroom. And I went into this separate closet next to the classroom, and I started taking all my snow clothes off. And I noticed that my pants had gotten wet underneath my snow pants. And so it was going to look like I peed my pants. And so now, because of my programs, I'm like scared. I've got fears. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of lots of things. What will the teacher do? What will the kids think? What will they say to me? How will they treat me? I won't live this down for a long time. And so I sat there in the closet. I couldn't leave the closet. I was frozen in fear. And so fears were part of my life now. I was afraid of things. I was afraid of people. I was afraid of things that I didn't know how they would turn out. I was afraid of the unknown. And I sat there frozen, and I could not leave the closet. I couldn't, because I was so scared. And have you ever been like that? Have you ever been frozen because you're so afraid? You don't know what step to take? So now I have this new program that is running my life, that is part thoughts, part emotion. It's a fear. Now I'm afraid, and I can't do things. I can't stand up for people. I can't take a stand. I start to get quieter because it's scary. It's scary. So now I go to a place called junior high. Have you ever been to junior high? And I have more experiences like the coat closet, where I'm so afraid and I don't know how to ask for help. And because I'm afraid that the teacher will get mad at me if I ask for help. I'm afraid of the other students. I'm afraid that I don't know how to behave. And so I'm afraid of myself. So now I've got programs, I've got emotions, I've got fears. Now I also am starting to amass evidence, right? Now I'm getting evidence that these programs are true, because in junior high, without going into too many details, I'm sure you guys have been to junior high. I think that emotion pretty much sums up junior high, don't you think? So junior high, it totally starts validating my programs, that people are mean, that they don't like me, that there's something wrong with me, that I should be afraid all the time. That at my junior high, they had these dances on Friday during the lunch hour. They would just have a half-hour lunch dance, and you had to pay I don't remember. It was like 10 cents you would pay to get into this dance. And then the money would go to whatever program sponsored the dance. And you would go in, and then you would just sit there and hope that somebody would ask you to dance. And then nobody would ask you to dance. So then you would leave for the rest of the afternoon. You'd feel bad about yourself. And I was always so glad that I could pay my 10 cents so that I could feel bad about myself the rest of the day, because nobody asked me to dance. Okay, we could go on and on and on about junior high. So by the time I got to what comes after junior high, high school, I was pretty frustrated with life. So the second year of high school, I was like, this is ridiculous. There has got to be a better way. So I left high school. I went to the nearest college, and I said, hey, will you please take me instead? Please take me in college. And they said, sure, we'll do that. But you got to tell us what you're going to major in. And I'm like, major in? I didn't even know you were going to let me come to college. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, all right, why do I want to come to college? To date the boys. That's why we go to college, right? To get into the dating field. So I asked the registration guy, I said, what majors do you have with no girls in them? And he's like, no girls? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want the competition. And he looks at me and he goes, you're like 16 years old. You're worried about competition? And he goes, all right, listen, if you don't want girls, how about you go into engineering? And I looked at him and I said, no, I do not want to drive trains. And he goes, and there's no trains and there's very few girls. And I said, sweet, sign me up. Sign me up. I'll go into engineering. And it's true, there weren't very many girls. I know, because they called me into the dean's office and they said, and we have elected you Woman of the Year for the department. And I was like, yay, I have been elected Woman of the Year. I'm like, how many people were in the running for this? And they're like, Anne, let's just say we haven't had a Woman of the Year for a while. And I'm like, okay, I will be Woman of the Year for the engineering department. So now I got other programs along the way. I got, so I've got programs, I've got emotion programs, I've got fears, and now I've got stories too. I've got stories that that have built up good and bad inside of me. And so now you'd think, okay, here I am. I graduate from college in engineering. And then I went and served for my church in France for 1.5 years. So I learned French. I could speak French. I went to work in explosives when I got back, and then flight simulation. So now it's like, yeah, my life is looking up. I can build flight simulators. I know how explosives work. I've got lots of cool things that I can tell people. So now I don't have to worry as much about people liking me because I've got cool things that I can tell them. And then a cool thing happened. I married an engineer because that's who I was hanging out with. So now I got married, and then I started having kids. I have 5 kids, 4 boys and 1 girl. And then my kids started going to school. And now I felt judged by the other parents. I felt judged by the teachers. I felt like my kids weren't treated right. I started getting defensive and fearful all over again. And I started to hide. In fact, I got to the point that just 11 years ago, I found myself sitting on the floor in the family room, crying my eyes out. I had been reduced to just sobs. And the comments in my head were saying things like, Anne, your kids would be better off with any mom than you. They'd be so much better off if they had somebody else in their life than you. And I found myself saying, yeah, you're right. You're right. They would be better off without me. And I have lots of stories and lots of experiences and lots of proof and lots of fears, all because I grew up in a world that's imperfect, which we all did. And the reality of it is we because of all these stories, all these programs, all these emotions, we start to limit ourselves. We put ourselves inside of a box of what things should be like. And when we don't meet our own expectations, we start to shut ourselves down. And so I tell you this story, not just to introduce who I am. I tell you this story to show you that there are things that come, but that start to clutter and clog and block our ability to move from point A to point B, from where I'm at to where I want to be. Because that's where I was as I lay on the family room floor and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, is that I realized excuse me, I had a lot of things that were blocking the path to where I wanted to be. And if somebody had asked me, okay, so where is it you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? If someone were to hand you a magic wand and say, you can have your life be the way you want it, what would that be? The fascinating thing is that when I ask people that question, very often they don't know how to answer it because our belief system has been shut down. Our ability to believe in point B. So point B is not just where you want to be, it's also your belief of where you want to be. The majority of people, when I ask them that question, they don't have an idea of where they want to be. They just say, I want to feel better. I want it to be better. I want it to be nicer. I want better relationships. I want a better environment to live in. But there's no details about it. It's just, I want it to be better. So most people look at this as, I want it to be better. But what this really is our belief in what it can be. Our belief in what point B can be is much more telling about our ability to move forward than our desire for it to be better. Just wanting it to be better isn't enough. Excuse me. I apologize. It's still morning. Okay. Our desire for it to be better is important, but it's not enough. What really is more telling about our ability to move to point B is our belief in what it can be. And when you really start asking people questions, they get stuck on what their belief is of what it can be. All right, so I hope you're taking notes this morning. I forgot to tell you, grab a pen and a paper and make sure you're taking notes, because that will help your subconscious hold on to the important gold nuggets that you're learning this morning. So make sure you're taking notes. So on your paper, draw an A and a B, and under B put my belief of where I can be, my belief. But there are things that block our way. There's things that block our way as we're trying to get from where we are at to where we believe that we can be, where we believe that we can be. And those things that block our way. So have you ever read or heard the story of Gulliver's Travels? In Gulliver's Travels, one of the places that he goes is he gets shipwrecked and he lands on an island of the Lilliputians. I think that's how you say it. And what happens is he crashes on this island, and the island is full of little people. Okay, they're just tiny. They're not very big, and he is a regular sized person. So when he lands on their island, it's like there's this giant there. There's this giant. And they don't know what this giant will be like when he wakes up. And so in order to control the giant, listen to this. In order to control the giant, what the Lilliputians do is they take little tiny cords and they anchor them on one side of the giant, the giant Gulliver, and they throw the cable across and they anchor it on the other side. And any one of these little cables, the giant Gulliver would have totally been able to just rip it out of the ground. And they knew that. So they put one across, then another, then another, then another, then another, then another. And pretty soon they have hundreds of these little cables across the giant. So that when he wakes up, he can't move. You hear that? When he wakes up, he can't move. So that's what we're talking about this morning, is when you wake up, your belief in where you want to be, because that's what we've got to do, is wake up your belief system. Your belief system has been shut down over the years through little innocent experiences that you've had in your life. Your belief system has been put to sleep. And your belief system is like this giant within you. And when you wake up this giant, you want to be able to move forward. But there are little cables across you that will hold your belief system down. It will hold that giant down inside of you unless you are clear on what they are. And so, have you ever felt like you're meant to be more, you're meant to help people more, there's more that you're supposed to be doing, that if you could just change a few things, that life would be so much better. Have you ever felt that? But you're tied down, just like Gulliver was. You're tied down. He's laying on the beach. And when he wakes up, he tries to get up and he can't because there are hundreds of cables across him. And so that giant within you, we need to wake up that belief. Wake up that belief that you can be in a better place. Do you hear those words? Wake up the belief that you can be in a better place. Because how often are you, do you lie to yourself? Because it's easier. You lie to yourself because it's easier. Because then you don't have to take effort. And so Gulliver, think about him. He's laying there on the beach. He's got all of these cables across him. He could just lie to himself and say, yeah, well, if I wanted to, I could get out from under these. But I don't want to. This is comfortable. This is comfortable to lay here. So I don't need to get up. No. I mean, that we lie to ourselves and say, it's okay where I'm at. It's okay to be like this. It's okay to have relationships the way they are. It's okay to have my house cluttered the way it is. It's okay that I don't like to look in the mirror and that I don't take very good care of myself. It's okay. We have all these excuses of why it's okay. Well, my kids matter more right now, or my spouse matters more, or other people matter more, or this project matters. Everything matters more. We lie to ourselves, and all of those lies give those cables across us power to keep us down. They give them power to hold us back. So what is it? So what is it, you guys? What is one of the cables that holds you down? Do you know? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. That's like a meme now, right, Lindsay? It's fine. It's fine. And the reason it's a meme, oh, now we'll get on my soapbox. The reason it's a meme in our society is because so many people can relate to it. We're totally held down. So what are some of the things that hold you down? What are some of the things that are keeping you held down? What are they? What's something that holds you down? Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. So procrastination. So in my picture here, look, there are things that when we start to try to move towards point B, it's like, all right, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to be. And we start to take a step. What blocks you? Answer it in the comments. Answer at least one thing, even if you're not sure and you don't know 100%. Answer something because it will prime your subconscious to give you more answers. So give me one answer at least in the comments, or more than one, but give me at least more, okay? Yeah, I need to know more information first. Past mistakes, procrastination. Yeah, the others in my life are more worthy of my time. Good, not good enough. So it can be a belief, it can be an emotion, it can be a program. But come on, you got to answer one so that you prime your subconscious to give you more answers. I'm not important. I hurt people. Laxy. I like that way of saying lazy. I love that, Tara. I don't have enough time. Scared of success because I've experienced failure. Oh, that's a good one. Self-doubt. It just doesn't matter. It's fine. Priorities. Too tired. Oh, that's a good one, Keith. Yeah, being too tired. I call artificial tired is one of our sabotages. Money means I will be selfish. Ooh, that's a good one, Diane. I'm afraid. Lots of these. I don't want to rock the boat. I've already messed up once. Don't want to do it again. Unworthiness. I'll do it later. There you go. That's a good one. Worried what others will think. Scared of failure. Oh, good, you guys. Feeling hurt. So emotions. No confidence. I've tried so many things that didn't work. Excellent. Excellent. I'm one of these people in the world that gets excited when we figure out negative answers, because awareness is the first step to change. If I'm not aware of what needs to change, how can I change it? Did you hear that? If I'm not aware of what's there, how will I change it? If I'm not aware of what needs changing, how can I change it? Oh, that's a good one, Melissa. If I want more, I'm being ungrateful for what I have. Others are more deserving. Others will judge my success. I have to support everyone, and I have to do it myself. Technology is difficult. Oh, you guys, good. I love it. You're priming your subconscious pump. And do you even know what that means? What does it mean to prime a pump? So, for example, the way physics works is that if you've probably done this before and didn't realize it. Like when I ordered some water filters. I wanted to try a new water filter. And it said, before you install this water filter, you have to prime the filter. Ooh, listen to that. In order to use the filter, I have to prime the filter. And so what that meant was I had to take the filter and I had to hold it under the faucet until water started running through the filter, because it primed it to be able to filter out the negative. And that's what you're doing right now. You're priming your subconscious to be able to filter out the negative. But in order to do that, you have to recognize what the negative is. So last night, I was making this slide last night, and my son comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I told him briefly, I said, "Well, tomorrow I'm going to talk about what stops us from reaching our goals and how to get past it." And he goes, ooh, I have lots of great examples, because he's in college right now. He's living at home this semester because all the classes were still online because of COVID. So why pay for housing if all the classes are online anyway? And they weren't allowing any social interactions, so it seemed like a waste to be at home. I mean, to be away from home. And so he goes, "Yeah, I've had to do this. I've had to get past lots of things to be able to get through my semester," because he just got through finals yesterday. Today's Thursday, and Wednesday was the last day of the semester. And so he helped me come up with some of these, because look, we have lots of things that get in their way from where we're at to the belief of where we can be. Because notice some of you said, a lot of them that you guys said had to do with our belief in ourselves. Because what happens is we start to take our steps forward. Okay? In fact, let's get a person that's moving forward. Right here. Let's see. Let's get, all right, let's use this person. Well, let's use this person in a color that we can see. How about, there we go. So here's this person moving forward. And as we begin to move forward, you know what? I like this one better, because this represents what we feel like. It's the kid inside of us, because we never really feel older. That was something I learned early on when I first became an adult. When I turned 18 years old, I waited all day long for the moment I would feel like an adult, but I never felt different. And in that moment, I was given an image. I really believe that God gave me this so that I would be able to use it throughout my life. And basically, he whispered to me and he said, even old people don't feel grown up. They get old on the outside, but they feel the same on the inside. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? And so I like this idea of using the kid to move forward, because we all feel like that on the inside. We don't ever feel older on the inside. Our body gets older, but we don't feel older on the inside. So as we're moving forward, what happens is we want to get to here. We want to get to this point B, but we run into stuff and it throws us off track, and we get lost along the way, and we end up back at point A. And it's like, wait, what just happened here? I was trying to go to point B and I went through the maze. It's like the corn maze. You stand up here and you go, okay, I see point B. And then you go down the ladder and you get in the maze, and it's like, okay, where am I at? Where am I? Okay, where am I? Oh, I'm sure I'm almost there. I'm almost there. How did I get back to point A? What? Does that make sense? So have you ever felt that? You start forward, you go through the maze, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get there this time. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I've been going for so long. I must be almost there. What? How did I come back out here at point A again? Yeah, Erin, I still don't feel like an adult most of the time. Yeah, it's so true. So I love this image. I love this image right here, because this is, let me make it big again. Because this is the clutter. So clutter, you guys hear me, clutter is like one of my big talking points, because clutter happens in every area of our life, not just in our surroundings, but we have clutter in our physical surroundings. We have physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and our body. We have clutter in all of those areas. And if we don't understand the clutter, it buries us. And here's one thing that we do feel as we get older is we feel more cluttered. We want to be more clear, but as we get older, we actually feel more cluttered. And so I wanted you to have a picture of what the clutter is that's blocking you from getting from point A to point B. And so part of the clutter, so look at all these different things. Each one of these things is like one of those little ropes across Gulliver. It's holding you down. It's holding you down. So what I want you to do is, on your paper, I want you to write down, some of the things that are blocking you. So before I tell you my definition of each of these little icons, on your paper, what are some of the things that are blocking you, that are cluttering the path, that are causing you to get lost along the way to point B? Because that's what's happening. It's not that you don't have the ability to achieve. It's not that you can't get to point B, because you totally can. It's not that. It's that you get lost along the way. And so because you're lost, you in order to feel better, you give up by saying B isn't worth it. B isn't possible. B is for other people. B isn't for me. And so I want you to start to prime your subconscious. But your subconscious is so powerful. Your subconscious can problem solve. Yeah, we're going to talk more about problem solving here in just a second. Your subconscious can problem solve, but in order for you to access that superpower, because problem solving is a superpower, and in order to access that superpower, you have to be at least beginning to be clear on what is blocking you from getting from A to B. So when you've got at least 3 to 5 things written down that are stopping you, tell me in the comments. Say, I've got 5, I've got 3, I've got 10, but let me know that you've written some of them down. And then we'll briefly talk about what some of these are, because you're being blocked. Yeah, if you can get out of the first chord, Aaron, right? Then you can get the second, and then you just start popping off the chain reaction. But you have to get started. Yep. Okay, good. You guys are starting to get them. Good. Good job, you guys. All right, so let's start to look at what these are. So we can get blocked by programs, okay, they're running our head. We can get blocked by things that other people say, or assumptions of what we think they will say. So assumptions and judgments, clutter, are things that sabotage us. Another that will sabotage us is junk food. The reason we will use junk food is because it numbs us. When we try repeatedly to get to point B and we don't get there, we don't want to feel motivated. We actually avoid the feeling of motivation or excitement. We want to numb ourselves. And so that junk food there represents any numbing device. So this can be any addictive substance. So drugs, alcohol, your phone, sugar, binge watching, streaming, YouTube, anything that numbs you. Okay, so this junk food here represents numbing agents. Write that on your paper. It represents numbing agents. So, and the reason we will numb ourselves out is we are frustrated because we've tried to get to point B and we haven't achieved it. So being late a lot, So a lot of these end up being our ways to avoid that. We are either stopped from getting to point B, or we avoid getting to point B because we're tired of trying. So alarm clock here is artificial tired, because sometimes we get tired as an escape, as an avoidance. Oh, I've so done this. I've so done this. If you want to feel it, just go look at something you've been avoiding, a project you've been avoiding, and you'll feel tired all of a sudden. Like maybe you have a pile of papers you haven't sorted, or the garage, or a junk drawer. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's too many decisions. Decisions will weigh us down. So this is numbing agents. What about this trophy right here? Okay, come on, somebody's got to be curious about the trophy. The trophy is this. Here, I wrote it down in my notes. Sometimes, how many times have you used hard as a badge of honor for the struggle that you're going through? Do you ever try to okay, so let me describe this from me. I realized a few years ago that when people would ask me, "Hey, Anne, how are you doing?" I would immediately have a story of something hard going on in my life that I would want to tell them. It could be little things like, oh, I'm doing good. Traffic was so hard today. It took me an hour and a half to go 40 minutes worth of travel today. I would have some story because I was getting this badge of honor or this trophy for the struggle. Because struggle, now I'm not saying that there isn't struggle. We honestly have struggles. But when we're using struggle as something to get attention for me, I realized it was because I wasn't getting attention for accomplishing my goals, but I wanted attention. So I was getting attention for the struggle I was going through. And so a lot of times, because how many trophies do we need for struggle? Every trophy you get for struggle is actually an excuse to not achieve your goal. It gives you permission to quit trying, to stay stuck. We use our goal as an excuse instead of a step forward. The goal is hard. Getting to the goal is hard. And it's like the hard is what we're wanting people to see. Now, not everybody does this. And not everybody does it all the time. Because like everything that I put here on this list are things that have pulled me down or held me back at some point. It doesn't mean that all of them work on me at the same time. It doesn't mean that I have all of them at the same time, but every single one of them, if I think back into my past, there's been a time when I have been tempted with the distraction of this. So for me, I realized, because here's another place that I realized it. I used to be late a lot. Well, I had 3 kids under 2. So when I had my 3rd child, my oldest was 2. And so that was a lot of kids to have under 2 years old. That was a lot of diapers. My oldest turned 3 right afterwards, but that was a lot of little kids at once. And so to get them all ready and get places, I got in the habit of getting there late. But I noticed this about myself, that as long as I had a story of why I was late that I could tell people when I got there, it took the pressure off of me. And I noticed this because I was on my way to one of my kids' schools. And at one point I have 5 kids, and all 5 of them were in different schools. So I had 5 schools I was dealing with, because where we live, that's just the way it works. So I had 5 kids in 5 different schools. So I was on my way to one of my kids' schools for some kind of something, because I was always volunteering and helping and stuff like that. And I was late. And I noticed I was paying attention to myself. And as I'm driving there, I got an idea of the story I could tell of why I was late. And it wasn't like I was making a story up. It's just that it was like, oh, I can tell them this about why I was late. And I felt my body go, oh. And I was like, wait a second. Why did I relax from having a story ready? Our stories, our excuses, our permission to not have to actually achieve. Our stories, that's hard to say. Our stories are permission for us to not have to achieve. So by having that story ready to tell them, I didn't have to improve my ability to get there on time. I got to release the pressure by having a story ready to tell. And when I saw that about myself, I thought, oh my goodness, Is this really what I want to do? What is this doing to me? And so I started to pay attention to other things that were causing me to have permission to not achieve. So there's numbing agents, there's artificial tired, there's badges of honor, there's our schedule. We'll keep ourselves super busy so there isn't room to add our actual goal in there. We have emotions, we have the negative thoughts that go through our head. We have this one represents the negative thoughts that go through others people's heads that we assume are there and get broadcast towards us. We could go into that for an hour, but we're sensitive beings. And so we're sensitive to other people's moods. And other people's moods are influenced by their negative commentary in their head. And so we'll make assumptions about what other people think about us. But we'll also pick up signals, and we'll feel certain ways based on how other people, what kind of day other people are having. So this is the weather, natural events that happen, natural events like volcanoes. That was the only icon I had there. But so events that happen in our lives, phone calls, people will call us and dump on us. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't need that. Now I feel bad. Rules that we have placed on ourselves that aren't real. Rules that we have placed on ourselves. Because sure, there are rules in life, but there are a lot fewer of them than we behave like there are. Let me say that one more time. There are rules in life, but there are actually a lot fewer rules than we behave like there are. And so what do? We notice somebody else not following the rules, and then we want to poke at them because they're getting away with something that we're not getting away with. Our negative programming and even our time. Sorry, I'm like, what is this? Time. Our time, because I saw a few of you say that there isn't time, or or time works against us. So all of these, and we could add more. But they are cluttering the path. They are cluttering the path that goes from point A to point B. And so in our lives, how often do we find it easier to live in the misery zone instead of the motivation zone? How often do we do that? Because when I start down the path, and where's my, hang on, he's here. There he is. Okay, when I start down the path and I get lost in the maze and I end up back over here, I will also get frustrated if I see somebody else actually achieve and get to the goal. It'll be like, oh, why can they get to their goal and I can't get to my goal? Why does this happen to me all the time? And so so can anybody relate? Does this picture help you see what's going on inside of you? Is this going on inside of you? Say I'm afraid so in the comments. I'm afraid so. This is going on inside of me, and it's stopping me from getting my goal. And then you get excited about it because it's like, yes, and I'm excited about it because now it's on the outside of me. I can see it. So now I can do something about it. Oh yeah, fear of what the change will require of me. Yeah, because it's true. As I move to here, I cannot be the same person here that I was here. You change. You are filtered. If you did you watch my webinar that I did a couple of weeks ago on our plateaus and what plateaus teach us about our give-receive cycle? Did you watch that? If you didn't watch that, I highly recommend you go watch it. It's actually, we posted that one on YouTube. You can watch that one. So you can't be the same person at point B that you were at point A. And sometimes that scares us because because it's unknown. It's unknown. And we fear the unknown. In fact, we need to add the unknown here. So I'm going to add the unknown as a black box, because that's what a black box represents, is the unknown. So the unknown is scary. So let me label that. The unknown. We fear the unknown, even though the unknown is the way to get to where we want to be, is going through the unknown. Okay, so that's that. So how long are you going to live in the misery zone instead of the motivation zone? Because that's the difference. Is I allow myself to live in a certain amount of misery to avoid the unknown. But the unknown, why does it have to be unknown, you guys? Why don't we start defining point B so that it's no longer unknown? And the reason is, well, there's lots of reasons, but one of the reasons is that we don't believe we can get there, so we don't bother defining it. So to go back to my original example, if I gave you a magic wand and I said, all right, you can have your life be the way you want it to be. You can get from point A to point B, but you got to tell me what you want. So like in the story of Aladdin and the magic lamp, there's lots of different retellings of that story. And what usually comes up is that the person, Aladdin, when he rubs the lamp, it's like, you can have 3 wishes. And he goes, oh, I don't know what to wish for. I don't know what to wish for. So do you not know what to wish for? Because, and then the rest of the story is all about figuring out what to wish for. Do you hear that? It's in our stories from the beginning of time. People aren't sure what to wish for. And so even when it's a magic lamp and there's a genie that's like, I can give you anything except for can't raise people from the dead and I can't make people fall in love with you. Other than that, you can wish for what you want. And they're like, stumped. Oh, I don't know what to wish for. I don't know what to wish for. So instead of wishing, I am going to just stay in my misery zone. Because if I wished for something, I might have to do something different. I might have to make some effort. I might have to do something different. Lindsay, I'm always scared of losing friends or relationships. Yeah, we're scared of losing what we have. So we'll keep what we have. So this is where the statement comes out, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Because it's like, well, why not keep the problems you have, because you don't know what the problems will be on the other side. So this is where, so let's stop sharing my screen for a minute. There we go. So this is where I learned something extremely valuable in my path. So when I went to college and I decided to go into engineering and try to figure out what being an engineer meant, one of the things that I was taught that is hugely powerful for me, that is one of the things that makes me a very powerful mentor, trainer, and body language expert, is I was taught to solve problems. We as humans tend to avoid problems. We are afraid of problems. And so what we think we want is we think we want life to be simple. We think that we want life to be just a smooth path forward. But humans are wired with an interesting tug of war, or what do you call that? Butting of heads. And that is that we're wired to want things to be easy, but we are at the same time wired to want things to be growing. And easy is not growing. If something's easy, it doesn't grow you. So like when I go to CrossFit each morning, or I go into the gym expecting to do hard things. I expect to lift heavy weights. Because if I lift heavy weights, what happens? I build muscles. You do not build muscles from doing easy things. And so we're wired with this dichotomy, this conundrum, this contradiction. There's the word I want. What humans are a walking contradiction. We want things to be easy, but if they're easy, they don't grow us, and we want to grow. And so, yeah, trying to keep up on all the comments there. So does that make sense? We as humans, here's this contradiction that we live with every day. We want things to be easier, but we want to grow. And growth and easy do not go together. When I go to the gym, I can choose to make it easy. I can choose not to put any weights on the end of my bar. And if I do that, I don't get stronger. I don't. And so the weights that make us stronger in life are the weights that make us stronger in life are the problems that we solve. Did you hear that? That's why I always say, my quote is, our past problems, our past mistakes are just the weights we lifted to give us our muscles of wisdom, compassion, and, oh, shoot. Adam, what's my quote? It's from Break Free Intensive. I can't think of, I'll have to go find it. But our past problems is what make us stronger. But yet our past problems are what make us avoid the future. So I got to say that again, because I need to make sure you heard that. Our past problems are what made us stronger. But our past problems are also what make us avoid moving towards our goal or believing in our future. And so we need to, so Lee, that's a good question. She says, is that why I keep making problems for myself? The reason we will make problems for ourselves is actually so that we can avoid the real things that will strengthen us moving forward. So for example, I'll use CrossFit as the example. When I go into CrossFit, they have what's called the prescribed workout. The prescribed workout has a certain weight that you do it at, a certain number of reps that you do it at, and a certain time that you do it within. In order to do that, you have to have developed a certain strength and a certain endurance and access your own tenacity to be able to do that. And so I love getting to go to CrossFit and push myself to see if I can do it at the prescribed way. But I find myself wanting to create problems for myself so that I will have an excuse to not do it the way it's prescribed. So if I go into CrossFit and say, oh, you know what? I twisted my ankle yesterday. And so because I twisted my ankle, now I have an excuse to not do it the prescribed way. So very often what I find, Lee, is people will make problems for themselves so that they have an excuse to not tackle something else that they know will strengthen them, because it'll be hard. Hard makes us stronger. And so the problems we make for ourselves are usually excuses, unless they are, okay, so let's say it this way. In the Bible, and I can't, I would have to go look up the chapter and verse, but in the Bible, it says something to the effect of, it's better for man not to be compelled in all things, but that, oh, I shouldn't have opened my mouth about it because I don't have the scripture right at the tip of my tongue. But it talks about being compelled in all things. And that's interesting if you study what being compelled is. So being compelled is being prodded or forced to or encouraged to do things. And we can either compel ourselves or we will be compelled. And here's what it looks like. Because we are these humans that need to grow, okay, that's part of our makeup. We need to grow and get stronger. We either choose goals that are problems for us to conquer, or if we try to stay in lazy and weakness, we will eventually get to a place that we are compelled with problems of not of our making. So here's an example. Let's see if I can make this more clear. I can either choose my own goal. And so maybe my goal is that I want to build a house, because that was one of my goals when I was an engineer. I wanted to build my own house, and I wanted to do as much of the work on it as myself as I could. So I chose a goal that would cause me to have to solve problems. So that made me have to learn how to, so like I built all the cabinets in my house. We laid all the flooring ourselves. I did all the trim for the house. I painted everything. So I had to learn skills, and that grew me. Well, I could have also said, you know what? It also caused me to have to go to work so that I could earn money. It caused me to have to manage my finances so that I could have the down payment for my house. And it caused me to have to earn money so that I could pay other people for their expertise. There were lots of things that I had to do. I could have, and some people do this, I could have said, oh, that's too much work. I don't want to have to go get a job. I don't want to have to do all those things. And eventually at first we can be lazy and not do anything and try to make things be just simple. But then eventually we get to a place where it's like, I don't have anywhere to live. Because I didn't pay my rent, I was kicked out of my apartment. And now I am compelled to work because I need a place to work. I need a place to live. Now, so our problems, we either choose the problems we're going to solve by setting goals and pushing ourselves, or if we try to go the easy route, we will eventually be given problems that we have to solve. Humans need to solve problems. Okay, is this making sense, or am I going way too deep for Thursday morning at so early in the morning? Is this making sense? Yes, he who is compelled in all things is a slothful and not a wise servant. Thank you, Lee. Yes, so we should not wait to be compelled. This is why we live on a planet where we have to work for our own existence. We cannot be handed everything. If everything were just given to us, we would get weak and we would actually not feel accomplished. You don't feel accomplished from having things given to you. This is why my kids, so like my teenagers are, it's so fascinating to watch them. They each in turn have gotten to the place that they're like, I want to do more things for myself. And they're like, okay, I want to do my own laundry. And so like even my kids that I wouldn't have expected them to want to do their own laundry, they've come to me and they're like, how do I do my own laundry? I want to be able to do it myself. We have a need as humans to make ourselves stronger. Okay, some of you said that this is making sense. Good. Because we are going to have to work, we're going to have to build ourselves, we're going to have to solve problems. And if we don't pick the problems to solve, we will be given problems to solve by life. That's probably the simplest way to say it. We either choose our own problems to solve or life will give us problems to solve. And that was one of the most important things I was taught going through engineering, was how to solve problems. Every problem we can work on to solve. It doesn't mean that there is an easy answer or an easy solution to every problem, but every problem that we work on solving grows us. It makes us stronger. So that's what CrossFit is for me. I'm physically getting stronger because I'm lifting weights. Well, in life, we mentally and emotionally get stronger by solving problems. So notice that what is stopping you, the majority of it is trying to get you to believe that you can't solve the problem. Because, and if you go back and look at your answers to my questions today, the things that you answered to my questions are things that say, that are trying to get you to not solve the problems. Like, I don't have enough time. It's not that important. Fear I won't be able to keep up with it. Those are just problems to solve. And if you want point B enough, listen to this. If you want point B enough, you will find a solution to the problem. But listen to this as well. When you pick and start to believe in point B, it doesn't mean the problems go away. It means that you now have the motivation to solve the problem. You don't want the problems to go away, because if the problems go away, you won't get stronger. What you want to do is approach this not as a maze, but as a series of problems to solve. So you come to this first one and you go, okay, this is unknown. How do I solve this problem of unknown? Well, let's see. When I come to unknown, it feels this way and I think this. So what I can do is I can adjust and think this and feel this. And now unknown, you've solved it and you move to the next one. It's like, all right. So because the reason this is a maze is we're running around trying to get away from these things instead of looking them as a problem to solve. Okay, I get a little wound up on my soapboxes. All right. But are you hearing what I'm saying? These are all opportunities. You have to be stronger. In order to not be at point A, you have to be a stronger person than you are at point A. In order to be at point B, you have to be a stronger person than you were at point A. So in order to be a stronger person, what do you have to do? You have to solve problems. You have to solve problems. Yeah, Tara says, I'm scared of success because I will experience failure. But the whole point, Tara, is to solve the problem. And sometimes you'll be wrong, and then you'll try again, and you'll get stronger. The failure is not a fear, something to fear. The failure is something that grows you and makes you stronger. The people who get to point B didn't get there because they didn't experience failure. They got there because they solved the problems over and over and over again until they were strong enough to be at point B. And so we solve the problems just one at a time. It's like, all right, now I've got this problem. This person called me and they dumped all over me. Okay, what do I do with that? Oh, I need to install boundaries. Okay, I put some boundaries on, healthy boundaries that don't hurt people, they help people. Okay, what's next? Ooh, I just stubbed my toe on time. I keep being late. Okay, I know how to solve that one. All right, I got that. I'm getting stronger. Oh, and now here comes this event in my life that is causing me to want to run home and hide. Okay, I know how to solve this one. I solve this one because I have a team of people around me, and that team of people help me to be able to know what to do for this event in life. Okay, solve that one. Now I'm stronger. All right, what's next? And we go through these and we solve the problems. And every time you solve a problem, you get stronger until you're strong enough to be at point B. Every time you solve a problem, you get stronger. You get stronger. And the thing is we know on the inside that we're meant to be stronger. But we have to manage our thoughts and our emotions to the point that we can be, we have to manage our thoughts and our emotions to the point that we can help ourselves get through the problem. Sometimes, let's see, fail equals first attempt in learning. Yep, so true. Life is a puzzle waiting to be solved. But it doesn't have to be solved all at once. One step at a time. Okay, so Rochelle says, how do you deal with the program of when I get stronger, I will get hurt? So that's an important piece that you just brought up. How do I deal with the program? Because now what we have to talk about is, all right, come on, computer, cooperate. We all understand now that there's a point A and point B, and I get stronger by solving the problems that are in between point A and point B. So I need to get out of my misery zone into my motivation zone. To understand that, I have to realize, how do people act, think, feel, and what do they value when they're in the misery zone? How do they act, think, feel, and what do they value when they're in the motivation zone? And then, okay, and to see what my next slides were. Okay, so understanding that, the next step is, what is it that I have to do to get off of my proverbial butt at point A and begin to take steps towards point B? And what I have to do, well, the steps are this. Write them down on your paper. Write down the steps on your paper. The first step is, I have to become crystal clear on where I'm at and where I want to be. So what that means is, so let me tell you all the steps here. So I have to become clear on A and B. And then, like you just brought up, who just brought that up? Rochelle. And then the next thing is, all right, I want to still share this screen. Let's go back to sharing the screen. Screen. Okay, so let's go back to this one. Okay, so the steps are, I have to get crystal clear on where I'm at. Where is it that I'm at? And answer things like financially, mentally, relationships, work, house, clutter, the clutter in my house, the clutter in my life, in my mental, my emotional, my spiritual. Answer it. And then ask yourself, now that you're clear on where you're at, where do you want to be? Where is it that I want to be? And where is it that I believe that I can be? Okay, so you have to answer those questions. The next thing that happens, though, is every single person on the planet, as they're moving from point A to point B, one of the things that gets in the way, let's go borrow it from the next screen here. One of the things that gets in the way is this program. Okay, and another way of another thing that we can call this program is our story. Every single person I've ever worked with has a story that is part of what's blocking them. They have a program or a story of how they are looking at life. And so, like you were saying, Rochelle, there's this program that if I get stronger, I will get hurt. And so there's a story behind that program. And so this is one of the things that I excel at helping people to do, is because I can watch their body language, I can help them find what their individual story is between point A and point B. Because when you can take that story and upgrade it and understand it from a different perspective, now it gets it out of your way. Or it becomes a muscle that actually puts it on your team. So now it helps you to move forward towards point B instead of hindering you to move forward. Because it wants to be in our way. But when we can look at it differently, now we can put it onto our team. And it actually becomes a help to getting to point B. Because it's not true that when you get stronger, it doesn't have to be true that when you get stronger, you'll get hurt. But Rochelle, that says that you have a story of something that happened. And when we're going through life, we're going through life imperfectly. We're figuring things out as we go. We don't know everything. I think it's fascinating when people say, I won't believe in something unless it's scientifically based. Science is just things that have been figured out so far. There are just as many things that have not been figured out as have been figured out. That's why somebody said that sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic, something to that effect. Because my son and I, when we were going to drop off his job application, he said something, we were talking about science. And he said, wow, science can be a lot like magic, can't it? And I'm like, yep. Because all science is things that we have figured out. The things that we haven't figured out yet, science wants to figure out. They wants to figure them out, but we haven't figured them out yet. Humans are, and what science is each individual person who has lived in history each scientist has figured something out. And then we keep amassing those and we keep adding to it. That's all we are as humans. We come not knowing very much, and we keep figuring things out as we solve problems. And so what we're trying to do is solve the problems. And one of the problems that we're solving here, Rochelle, is that somewhere along the way, you have a story or an experience that caused you to believe that if you're stronger, you'll get hurt. But so now the goal is to unravel that and go, okay, wait a second, what was the experience? Oh, it was this. Well, how else can we look at that so that we can unravel it and put that story on your team instead of being the thing that's hindering you as you move forward? So the two more things that you need as you're moving forward. So you need, whoops, don't know what just happened there. Okay, so as you're moving from point A to point B, the things that you need are, you need to be crystal clear on A. You need to have a belief in B. So you need to know where you're at. You need to answer it honestly, where you're at. And then have a belief in B. And be able to create a vision of what B looks like. And then you need to find your story, your uniqueness. So this is for everyone. Everyone needs to find an A. Everyone needs to believe in a B. And everyone needs to find their story that blocks them from getting to B. Because everybody has a unique program, a unique story that is blocking them. And we need to, as we're answering that, we need to be clear and honest about point A and clear and honest about point B. But we avoid clear and honest because if we were clear and if we were honest, we would start taking the steps between point A and point B. Because there are very specific steps that'll get us through the problem-solving pieces. Because as you are, let's just pretend for a minute that you, on your paper, you clearly and honestly, you answer where you're at all the different aspects of your life, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, your body, your surroundings. You clearly and honestly answer that. And then you pick one piece of that where you believe that you can get better. Let's say you do that. Now, what you need is the ability to problem solve all the problems that come up in between as you're moving from point A to point B. Because it's methodical. This is what they taught me in engineering, is that every problem can be solved by approaching it with problem-solving skills. And so what do? You break it down into the next piece. So like they would give me an equation, a calculus equation, and they would say, all right, solve this enormous calculus equation. And then they would say, here's how you do it. You break it down to the first piece, and then you work on that piece. Then you work on the next one, and the next one. And pretty soon, you've solved the entire big calculus equation. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that. I had no idea that I could do that. Because that's what happened to me in engineering. I was ready to give up. My second year of engineering school, I was ready to give up because I was taking physics, basic level physics. And I was like, I was lost. The teacher was not explaining it in a way that I could understand. In fact, the teacher wasn't really explaining it very much at all. And I was so frustrated, and I was going into the final failing the class. And I thought, oh my goodness, how can I be an engineer if I can't do basic physics? And so I was in one of my engineering classes, and the teacher said, we were doing a study class for the final. And he said, does anybody have any more questions? And nobody was raising their hand. And everything in his class I understood. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to waste this time. So I raised my hand and I said, does the question have to be about this class? And he goes, no, what class do you have a question about? And I go, physics. And he said, what about physics? And I go, all of it. It'll even make me want to cry right now because I was so frustrated in that physics class. And I go, all of it. I don't understand physics. And bless his heart, that teacher, Brother Forsness, he is the reason I stayed in engineering school. Because he said, Anne, physics is simple. I can show you what to do. And he took the rest of that class and he went up to his whiteboard and he explained the concept of physics to me. Just like I've been explaining the concept of achievement to you. He said, Anne, this is the main big picture of what's going on. And now what you do is you take and you apply your problem-solving skills in between. And I was like, that's it? And he goes, yeah, that's it. And I failed the physics class, but I signed up for it again the next semester. Excuse me. From the exact same teacher, because that's the only one it was available to me for. From the exact same teacher that tried to teach it to me the first time. And this time I sat in the back of the class and I did my homework by myself using the skills that this engineering teacher had taught me. And I got a straight A in the class. We make things difficult in our life because if they're difficult, we have an excuse to not do them. Where in your life are you making things difficult so that you can have an excuse to not do them? And you can stay in that misery zone where you procrastinate, make excuses, avoid, blame, assume, judge, and value the excuses. And you think, and I love this, my son added this when I told him what I was doing. He said, oh, people in the misery zone, they count missing things, not blessings. And I love that. And I wrote it down because my son said it. He goes, they count the missing, not the blessings. And they feel drained, artificially tired. They feel like life is unfair. They're lacking. They're unfulfilled. They're afraid of failure, and they're full of fear. But when we can look at the big picture, which is being clear and honest about point A, clear and honest about point P, and then solve the problems in between, now we act uncomfortably. We get out of our comfort zone and we act, and it's not comfortable. But the reason it's uncomfortable is because the misery was comfortable. Did you hear me? The reason the first thing I put here under motivation zone is uncomfortable is because it was comfortable in the misery zone. It was comfortable in the misery zone. We're excited. We look for proof of movement forward instead of an excuse to stay stuck. Write that down. We look for proof of movement forward instead of an excuse to stay stuck. They problem solve, they trust, and they believe. When I work with people, I help them find their stuck spot, their story, their program that is holding them back. And then I help them And this is how it always goes. Okay, I've had many mentoring appointments this week, and this is how it always goes. I help them see the stuck spot. And then often what happens is some kind of emotion. Often it's tears, and they're like, why am I crying? I'm not sad. And I'm like, I know, but that emotion is coming out because you're letting go of an old way of looking at things. And so as you are looking at that new way of looking at things, an emotion will come out. Sometimes we'll get angry that we were stuck for so long. We'll get resentful. Often we'll cry. And then then what'll happen, almost every time, it happened every time this week in a mentoring appointment, I would show somebody where they were stuck, where their flow was clogged. And I would show them how to look at it differently and give them hope in the future. Because they go through this. It goes like this. Well, I see what you're saying, Anne, but now I know why I'm stuck. I'll never get out. And I go, but you will, and here's how. And then I show them, and they're like, I'm ready to get going. And then they become this action taker machine. Like one person I talked to this week, it was like, I'm cluttered in my house. My house is such a mess. I don't know what to do with it. And I said, all right, well, here's where you're stuck. And sure enough, happened the tears. And then they said, but now I can't change that. And I said, oh, but you can. And here's how. And by the end of the appointment, they're like, oh my gosh, I can totally change. And now this person is going out and making all these changes and cleaning things up and letting things go because I showed them where their story was. I showed them where their story was. Because now they feel uncomfortable, but they feel excited and empowered and brave at the same time. Can you imagine feeling uncomfortable, excited, empowered, and brave at the same time? Right? I almost feel like the math class, solve for B. It is something my brain can wrap around. Yep, exactly, Erin. That's what we're doing. We're solving for B. We're solving for B. And what in the misery zone people value attention and excuses. In the motivation zone, we value effort. We value effort because every effort, just like the math equations, every time you solve one and you get the wrong answer, it's teaching you how to solve the problem and get the right answer the next time. Yep, Lee, don't be the clog. Don't be the clog, right? And that's what we need, is to be able to move, is to be able to get from point A to point B, but get our story to work with us instead of against us. And I show you how to attach a simple reminder to yourself so that you can do that. And so this is why I created the class called Breakthrough Coaching. Because those of you who've been to Break Free Intensive or my group mentoring, I took the best of both of those worlds and created the Breakthrough Coaching program so that people have the ability to get support as they're moving from point A to point B. And in the middle of that support, have the ability to reframe their stories so they're now working with them instead of against them. It's like taking this block that's in front of you, and now you get on top of it and you use it to surf your way to point B. It's like, woo, I can do this. Life doesn't have to be hard. What life has to be is a problem solution scenario. We gotta solve the problems. Yeah, so Carrie says it's hard to be in the motivation zone when everyone around you is in the misery zone. But the part of that, Carrie, is in your program, in your story. And so when we find the story of where that's coming from, you can use that to help you, because lots of people feel that way. But the reality is, when you can hold your motivation zone, it actually radiates out around you, and people then will begin to adjust to more motivation themselves. You have influence on others. This is why the people I created the Breakthrough Coaching Program for are people who actually, this will benefit not just them, but they will influence others. Whether it's your family, whether it's your neighbors, whether it's other people that you coach, other people that you know you should be helping. I created it for you because I can't touch every person on the planet. So I need people to help me. So if I help you and then you help others, oh yeah, so Lee says, even my children are noticing. So Lee is new in my Breakthrough Coaching Program. And I don't know, how long have you been in there, Lee? Couple of weeks. And the changes she's making, she says, even my children are noticing. And I've only been doing this for 1 week. There it is. She's only been doing this for 1 week. We influence, it just gives me chills, because we influence others. When we can break through our stories, it helps people around us feel safer to break through theirs. And that's why the name of the program, let's break through our stories so that we can influence others to break through theirs. And so, yeah, any of you that are on here that are in Breakthrough Coaching, make a comment in the comments about, is it about what it's done for you? Is it valuable for you? What shifts? How does it help you? You don't have to give specifics, but if you don't want to, but what does it help you with? What is it helping you break through? Let's ask it that way. So like Lee said, it's helping her break through her own patterns, which is helping her family. Dakota says, Breakthrough Coaching has completely transformed my trajectory this year. And Dakota, I think you're pretty new in there too. You've only been in there a few weeks. I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks. And so don't take my word for it. There's other people on here that are in this Breakthrough Coaching Program. That program is for people who want to be able to move from point A to point B. And they want to learn the skills. They want to learn the skills not only to get from point A to point B, and to problem solve all of these problems along the way, but also how to help their stories work for them instead of against them, and then influence other people. It's a powerful thing. Dakota and Lee, are you the only two on here from Breakthrough Coaching? Who else is in my Breakthrough Coaching Program or has been? Because I know some of you, if I look back through the names here, I recognize some of your names. So here's what I know. Some of you will avoid improving yourselves. I'm going to say it that way. Some of you will avoid helping yourselves. You will avoid making changes because it's comfortable. It's so comfortable to be and familiar to be in the misery zone. In fact, we should add that one right here, that this is comfortable and familiar. Thank heavens for spell check. Did I get that right? Familiar. It's comfortable and familiar. And so we'll stay here because it's like, well, better the devil I know than the devil I don't. And so what we want to be able to do is give ourselves permission to move forward. So I have a suggestion for you. What I have is that the breakthrough coaching is a powerful thing. And I don't want to take the time to tell you all the details in this webinar this morning. I want to talk to you individually and tell you about it. And so what I'm going to suggest you do is you book a phone call with me. You book a phone call with me where I'm going to talk to you, me, on the phone, and I'm going to tell you about the Breakthrough Coaching Program and how it can help you to move from that point A to point B, and how it can help you to solve the problems that you're getting stuck on. And some of you, but I don't have that many slots. I only have so many slots for phone calls because I'm going to dedicate that time to you. Just like I dedicated this time this morning to teaching this webinar and giving you skills and insights that you can use to upgrade your life, because I can't watch people hold themselves back and not do something about it. I can't take steps for you, but man, can I show you things that I've done along the way. I can show you what's blocking you. I can tell you what to do different, but I can't do it for you. And so I teach these webinars because I know what's blocking people. And because I've totally been there. I've totally been there. And so click on this link. I just put it up on your screen. You can click on the link right there on the screen. Or you can, Adam will, in the top of the chat, he'll put the URL that you can type to be able to put it into your browser, to be able to click on if the link isn't working for you. You can type 3ke.to/talk-to-Ann, and it'll take you to the page to book a call. But I know that some of you won't book a call. And the reason you won't book the call is because your stories are holding you back. They're comfortable. They're familiar. It makes you mad that you have to listen to somebody else to get an answer. It's like, I should be able to figure this out myself. I know what that's like. I totally do. I know, and I know some of you won't book a call because you don't believe you're what's the word, skeptical. You're skeptical. But that's why I said those of you that have been in breakthrough coaching, type it in the comments, because time and time again, I have people that come to work with me, either personal mentoring or breakthrough coaching, where they tell me, I have tried everything, but what you teach me has helped me to be able to break through and actually get a different result. I've had people that have been through all kinds of counseling programs. They've been through all kinds of different classes, different workshops, read books, done everything. And they're like, but Ann, you helped me to see what was in me. And the reason for that is because what I do is I am outside eyes looking in. I listen to your answers and I watch your answers. And when your body language and your words don't match, I quickly can see what the program is between you and where you want to be. I can see that program. That's what I've dedicated my superpower of body language skills to doing, is to helping you to see your program so that you can move forward faster. That's what I want. That's what I want. So if you're somebody who has, been waiting and figuring it out yourself, click the link and book a call. Book a call, because it's time for us to work together. It's time for me to help you to move forward. Because in the Breakthrough Coaching Program, you're going to get not just a day or two of help, you're going to get weeks of support. And in that program, some of the things that we're going to do to begin with is we're going to help you get clear on your point B. We're going to help you get clear on that. And then, you know what else? I'm going to help you get clear on what your doubts and your fears are. Because if you don't know what your doubts, when we're kids, we're afraid of what's in the closet. We're afraid of what's under the bed. And then our dad comes in or our mom comes in and opens the closet and turns on the light, and we see that it wasn't as scary after all. The thing as an adult that's hiding in your closet that is your actual doubts and your fears. And until we turn on the light and shine light on what those fears and doubts are, they are holding you back. And so I'm going to help you get clear on your doubts and your fears. And besides that, people who book a call and I'll tell you about, you can ask me questions about the program. I'll tell you about the program. And if you booked a call because of this webinar, in that breakthrough coaching program, I'm going to give you a special bonus. But you got to ask me for it. Say, Ann, I was on that webinar and I booked this call, and you said that if I chose into breakthrough coaching, you'd give me a special bonus. You ask me and I'll tell you, and you will love it. You will love it. It's such a powerful thing. And so, that's a great question, Jessica. That's a great question. So, how could I get you information on that? So I know, Adam, if you can answer Jessica's question privately and give her the breakthrough coaching link, that would be awesome, so that she can look at that. Great question, Jessica. So I know that you're like me. If you're not like me, you wouldn't be on this webinar this morning. And I know that for me, 10 years ago, I didn't believe in myself enough. I didn't believe, not in myself. I didn't believe in my point B. I didn't have enough belief in myself to click on the link and make a phone call. And so for me, my husband was the one that had to do it. My husband had to do it for me. I didn't believe in myself enough to click on the link myself. So my husband was the one who did it for me. My husband signed me up. My husband put me in the class that I took 10 years ago. My husband did it for me. And so I know that some of you on here, you don't believe in yourself enough to do it. But it's time. It's time. Let me show you how to solve problems. Let me show you how to take steps forward. This last weekend on Saturday, my son, so I got a Spartan trifecta 3 years ago with my two boys. I have 4 boys. So 2 of my boys and I and my husband got a Spartan trifecta 3 years ago. And doing that, maybe it was 4 years ago. Anyway, while we were doing that, my other boy was not physically capable of it, and my 4th boy wasn't old enough to do it. And so this year, my youngest son was finally old enough to do a Spartan race. And so I promised him that when he was old enough, I would do a Spartan race with him. Well, Spartan races, there are short, medium, and long ones. And I told him I'd do a short one with him. That was, it's 5K. There's a 5K, a 10K, and then a half marathon length, and then a full marathon. But for the Spartan trifecta, you do a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon obstacle race. I told him I'd do the short one with him. Well, because of situations, he wanted to do the long one, just because he's that kind of kid. He wanted to do the long one. And I told him he'd have to do it with his friends, not with me, because I didn't want to do that. Well, his friends dropped out at the last minute. And so 2 days before the race, he didn't have anybody to run the race with it. And so I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, I am I'll do it with you. So 2 days before the Spartan Beast, I signed up to do it with him. And my other son, who hadn't been physically capable of it, signed up to do it too. So here we were, 2 newbies and me, who already knew how grueling that was, signed up to do the Spartan Beast. Well, this beast was so hard. In the first 2 miles, my phone told me that I had climbed the equivalent of 61 flights of stairs in the first 2 miles. And they were like straight up. And in that first 2 miles, they had 200 people drop out of this race. And so so I was in one of the first morning heats. An hour later, they closed that section of the race because it was so hard. It was so hard. They had so many people passing out from how hard it was. And my boys and I, we got through that. And we got through it one tiny step at a time. We got through it and we finished the whole race. And the reason I was able to finish that race, I was ready to give up in that first 2 miles. I texted my husband, I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. But what got me through it was I was very clear on my belief of my vision, of standing at the finish line with my 2 boys and our medals and getting a picture. Sorry, I'm going to cry. Because that was stupid hard. It was stupid hard. I wore the wrong shoes because I thought I'd wear the ones that had more grip on the bottom, but they're a little short. And so they hurt my feet so bad going down the mountain that all my steps just had to be little. But you know what? Little steps get you to the finish line. Write that on your paper. Little steps get you to the finish line. And I did it. Okay? I did it. And I did it because I held to my belief that any problem I solved was worth it because I believed in my point B. Let me help you with your belief. Let me help you solve your problems. Let me help you find your story. Let me help you. Click on the link. We'll talk on the phone. You're worth it, you guys. You're worth it. So, because you were on this webinar this morning, I always ask this. I always ask, what action will you take in your life because you were on this webinar? What action will you take? Type it in the comments for me because I want a commitment from you that you will do something different. Maybe what you'll do is you'll schedule the phone call with me, but I know some of you won't. And if you're not going to schedule the phone call with me, what will you do? And you can type it in the chat just to me, or you can type it to everybody. But what I want you to do is I want you to be able to see that you aren't just learning things, you're also taking action. It isn't enough to just learn things, you have to take action. And until you take action, you don't get new results. And that's what we're here for, you guys. We're on this planet to learn how to get new results. We're here to help each other. We're here to support each other. And that's why I do these free webinars, is because I am here to support you. No matter where you're at, what point you're at, I am here to support you. Wow, Heidi's going to move 500 miles away, not knowing beforehand what she should do. Keep resetting. Okay, cool. Oh, this is awesome. I love all these commitments, you guys. I'm reading them. I read every one of them. All right, I love it. So you guys, remember, We are problem solvers. Say it out loud. Say, I am a problem solver. Say it. I am a problem solver. You need to hear yourself say that, because we can solve any problem when we believe in point B. You can solve any problem when you believe in point B. And I believe in you. I believe in your problem solving ability. So book a phone call to talk about breakthrough coaching. Go take action in your life. Let's up our belief in point B and let's solve our problems, because it's time to activate our motivation zone. Activate your motivation zone. It's powerful and it's worth it. Thanks for being here this morning, you guys. Yep, I am a problem solver. Good job, Shane. Exactly. I am a problem solver. And that is probably the most important skill that you can develop in your life, is being a better problem solver. Don't dread the problems, be the problem solver. Okay, yep, get a new perspective, move forward. All right, you guys, you are awesome. Have a great, it's Thursday. Have a great weekend. I know some of you are seeing that since it's a holiday weekend, there are only so many phone call times with me tomorrow. But there'll be more times next week and the following week. Okay, so don't give up. Click your link, make your phone call. Okay, you guys are awesome. Have a fantastic, fantastic day.